Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Nigeria stands at a crossroads for its democracy. Lawmakers and international observers warn that the window for meaningful reform is closing, and that decisive action is required well before the 2027 general elections. Proposals on the table for critical reforms include expanded use of electronic accreditation and resource transmission, single-day voting, and faster dispute resolution. Lawmakers say these reforms aim to reduce litigation, cut costs, and rebuild trust.
Well, we shall be taking a hard look at whether or not digitization can deliver credibility and speed, and whether a new electoral act will finally hold political parties to account by disqualifying those who have failed ineligible candidates. Of course, I'm sure that's a new thing which you are supposed to know, and that's why we're here. Well, joining us for this conversation is ICT expert and civic tech innovator who has been vocal about legal and technological reforms to advance electronic voting in Nigeria. Mr. Samuel Folorunsho joins us this morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, by virtue of your experience when it comes to tech and when it comes to Nigeria's electoral system and the call for electoral reforms, can you share with us what your thoughts are, especially looking at 2023 elections, what we can do better come 2024 with the use of technology?
Thank you so much for having me this morning. Good morning, Nigerians. And yes, the conversation around our electoral system, it's a recurring conversation, especially around the use of technology. And I think we are all here. We saw what happened with the 2023 election, especially around technologies like the BVAS and IREV. While they are fantastic innovations, and I think there is a lot of, I've said this over time, there's a lot of misconception or miscommunication around, especially IREV, the use and why it was designed. And I've always been a big advocate for the Electoral Commission to communicate properly as to how technology is designed, and especially, and that is why we say, as technologists, we say you have to design technology with the people that it's meant to serve. So if IREV was designed to only be a viewing portal where polling unit results were supposed to be archived, how did Nigeria misconstrue it for transmission? How did they understand it to be where results are supposed to be collated? So there is a lot of issues. And firstly, I think the major issue we have to fix if we are looking towards digitizing our electoral system is to amend section 60, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act that only for now only reads to say transfer and not transmit or electronically. So those are the subsections that have been debated for electoral reforms. And we have to really pay attention to some of these reforms, because for us to get from point A to point B is also another question around infrastructure. Do we really have enough infrastructure for us to be able to digitize our elections, for us to be able to carry out electronic voting end to end? Right now, our elections is not fully electronic. Yes, we use electronic for accreditation, we use electronic for access for registration, but we don't use electronic for voting. So in countries like India, in countries like they do full electronic voting. They have a machine that once you finish voting, it prints a paper for you, so then you can know, it's recorded who you actually cast the ballot for. So it's a very, very robust conversation. We have to continue. We have to just break it down as to what aspect do we really want to digitize. There are conversations around diaspora voting. What are the modalities for that? Are they voting directly or are they mailing their vote? So there's a lot of conversations. Right now, the law that we have that is backing up our technology is that you can't even vote outside your polling unit. But we are talking about diaspora voting. How do we want to marry those kind of modalities and methodologies together?
Mr. Folorunsho, let's stay with, since you're an ICT expert and you did in your opening submission raise issues about BVAS and IREV. The IREV issue with Nigerians, was it a case of voter education that they didn't really get the information on what to expect? And also, BVAS and IREV were deployed in previous election cycles, what concrete technical upgrades and independent verification layers are non-negotiable to ensure accreditation and results transmission cannot be tampered with or invalidated at scale?
Yes, let me start with the beavers because it's literally the most important piece of technology within our electoral system right now. So the beavers has really improved the way we conduct elections, and we can see why it came with new challenges. But we can see now that snatching ballot boxes is a thing of the past, because with the beavers, you snatching ballot boxes doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really change the outcome of the elections, and that is why we have seen politicians turn their strategy to vote buying. And when Nigerians says those votes really count, those our votes really count, I respond to say, would they pay you 20,000 naira if your vote really does not count? But let's stay with beavers. So beavers has a unique thing. It helps with accreditation, and it helps with duplicate voting. So with beavers, it has eliminated the idea of you having to vote twice as a citizen. But when it comes to IREV, like you mentioned, yes, it is mostly a case of voter education, because the IREV was solely designed for viewing. That is why it is called the result viewing portal. So it is solely designed for viewing. So it wasn't designed for collation or transmission of election results. So it was not designed to do any real-time analysis for you. But as a citizen, you can go there and view if the polling unit result that was uploaded from your polling unit is the right one, is the one you saw, is the one the party agent validated. So that is what it's designed for. And that is why you can see part of the amendment that has been pushed is for the amendment of section 60 subsection 5, that for it to now transmit and electronically, those words have to now be embedded in that subsection so that the IREF can now be admissible in court. So it is majorly a question of voter education, like you asked.
Okay. Let's also still talk about the Beavers IREV. During the previous election, we did see people upload different pictures, slippers, keto slippers. Some even uploaded themselves, maybe dancing. Permit me to just, laugh it out a bit. And one would ordinarily wonder, does this pass through a scanning process to ensure that these are documents that are very necessary? Also, the issue of post-election, people were still uploading results and uploading things. How can we handle this in digitalization ahead of 2027?
Yes, that's actually it's a control issue. It's a control issue within the commission, because first we have to understand what is the level of training that was given to the NYSC corpus that was supposed to man this technology, that was supposed to make use of this technology. Was there sufficient training for them? Because we've seen time past where trainings are rushed within the commission. There is not enough time for training, not enough time for deployment. So, or we've even seen situations where some of these people, the ones they train are not the ones they deploy. So that's a question of human error and how these technologies are being managed internally. Yes, INEC needs to first strengthen the workflow, how they manage the use of this technology. And they also need to improve this. We are in a world where artificial intelligence can help you cut down and can improve efficiency and cut down on a lot of controls. As you just mentioned, we saw people snap their own faces and uploaded them as result. So what are the modalities that the commission, because this question is actually for the commission, we don't manage the technology, but we said, what are the modalities that you are putting in place to ensure that these things doesn't happen? Or should we, because the ruling from the 2023 presidential election that invalidated the IREV, should we even continue to use the IREV as a piece of technology in the first place? Because those are the questions that have been asked. Because if we did not amend the law that backs up the IREV, how do we even consider it a useful piece of technology if it's not admissible, if the results cannot be used in court? So,
Mr. Folansho, from your vantage point and from your perspective as an ICT As someone that operates in that space, you did make reference to India, and Kenya has also integrated technology into their election process, albeit with mixed results. What lessons should Nigeria learn from these experiences as it moves towards digital reforms? And also, what recommendations would you propose in the time we have before the next general elections in 2027 that, INEC can onboard and implement so that we have a freer and fairer electioneering process?
Okay, yeah. So I think firstly is to first ensure that, because as much as we want to discuss technology, as much as we are looking at digital elections, if the law doesn't back it up explicitly, we are joking. There is really nothing that we can do around that. The politicians are weaponizing these loopholes. We still come back to weaponizing. First, the law have to explicitly back up electronic voting, have to explicitly back up electronic transmission of results. Secondly, is to ensure secrecy of the ballot and ballot audit. And when we implement technologies like you've mentioned that Kenya introduced, like India has introduced, it sort of strengthens and ensures secrecy of the ballot. The third recommendation is, as much as the commission is not empowered with infrastructure, the government needs to really, really invest in infrastructure, because if we want to ensure electronic voting, then there have to be technological infrastructure in almost every corners of Nigeria for we to be able to assure that. First, we've seen a lot of comparison about how America, you can easily see a result from a state, and without technology, we cannot achieve that. And that is why we still have we are still behind in implementing some of those solutions. My other suggestion will be social trust, because technology also works with trust. There is no trust around it. You can see, and a typical example, go to the INEX Twitter page when they post anything. 85% of the comments will be, we don't trust you, we don't trust these institutions. So there needs to be a lot of transparency, a lot more communication from the commission as to how these technologies will be deployed, as to how they will be used, and the results that citizens should expect from the usage of this technology. So it is a whole lot to unpack, actually, because you have to, as somebody that is looking from the point of technology can help us achieve a lot. Having viewed electoral technology for the past 8 years, it can help us achieve a lot of things. But we have to first back it up by law, back it up with effort and political will, which is putting the right infrastructures in place, and then build citizens' trust to be able to use and engage these solutions effectively.
All right. There's this concern from the youths that their vote wouldn't count. And because of that, we've all of a sudden seen voter apathy. People no longer really want to come out to vote. We did see that in the last term LGA, where the numbers were very, very few. Do you think that if the youth would want to come out to vote, there needs to be some form of sensitization? We do understand, to enable them understand that their votes will count. But how can technology play a major role ahead of 2027? And I'm asking this because we did see in 2023, these youths had gathered at their polling units. They were also part of those counting. Remember the words, the songs, they were chanting the numbers, and they were celebrating, only for them to see that what was posted on the IREV had a lot of markers, pens, cancellations, numbers looked like they were tweaked or they were drawn, as it were. How do you restore youth confidence, especially in the electoral processes and the system?
Firstly, yes, the trust and apathy is really high. Youth don't trust the system, and we've experienced this firsthand. We've seen decline in voter turnout for the past 3-4 years in Nigeria. But the first thing I would like to counter is that your vote really counts, because, and that's, I mentioned earlier, if your vote don't count, why would anybody think of paying you about 10,000 naira to vote? So that is also a misconception, a message that some politicians actually pass, because they understand that it's not better that we have these people not vote than coming to vote. So they keep peddling the messages of your vote don't count, we'll rig it. But truly it can become. But to your second question, as to how do we use technology, first we have to first move from this idea of having the methodology for hiring needs to be improved if we are going to consider it as a technology. Taking a snapshot of a handwritten result is not viable. It's not viable. This device, like devices like Beavers, has the capacity and the power to transmit the actual figures of the voter they accredited. So you can begin to take those kind of data, use it for audits, use it to strengthen the system, use it to know how many people actually cast their vote as against what is written down. So the INEC needs to actually rework the system, rework the vote flow, and make it transferable. What citizens want to see, what the INEC gave Nigerians was that, now we can actually see our results in real time. Now we actually have to ensure that that technology works, have to ensure that what citizens expect to get out of IRF is delivered, because those are the things that increase trust. Second thing is communication. A lot of the communication from the commission does not communicate directly to the youth. We've seen how Gen Zs communicate. We should learn to communicate better with them. We should learn to be proactive with the communication. We've seen a lot of communication that comes after the act when it's not supposed to be so. These are the things that improve trust with young people. I'll stop here.
Mr. Flores, still following up on the issue of trust, because I mean, once you've done a very good job in letting people know why it's important to vote, and if they think your votes won't count, why would they even try to induce you in the first place? But still, on this issue of trust, and I've always joked that every Nigerian's middle name should be Thomas, because they doubt everything. Now, digital systems depend heavily on cybersecurity and data integrity. Given Nigeria's history of cyber attacks and weak digital infrastructure, what safeguards must be in place to protect electoral data from manipulation or external interference? Because people can easily go on WhatsApp and Facebook and say, it's technology. All they have to do is just press one button. How do you, what are these safeguards? And how do you also let the people know that, look, we have a digital structure, digital infrastructure that would prevent manipulation and cyber attacks?
Yes, firstly is to engage close technologies, and there are several levels of equations that are used around electoral technologies, and like I mentioned, the VVPAT device that some of those countries use. These are closed systems. These are systems that doesn't interface with public internet, and these are systems that have guaranteed trust. We've seen how in those countries that I mentioned previously, they trust these systems because immediately you cast your ballot, you have evidence of who you actually cast your ballot for as a citizen. So you have the system. But secondly is also responsible design. We preach responsible design of technologies a lot. So, and this comes with something when we say we're building technologies, is that when we build with the users, when we communicate every step as to how we arrive at every result, it sort of helps build trust and also improve transparency. Yes, there are conversations around cybersecurity, around hacking, around tampering with elections around the world. But in Nigeria, we can't really say we've experienced that. So I don't think we should preempt why we should build safeguards, put safeguards in place, but we should not let some of these misconceptions or happenings around the world start creeping into our mindset, because it's not something that we've experienced. We've not experienced hacking around our elections. Our elections is not fully digitized. If it becomes fully digitized, then we have to now prepare ourselves as to how this, because to even give you an insight, Beavers only houses the registered voter for a particular polling unit. So if you are outside that polling unit, that is why you can't vote currently from a polling unit that you are not assigned or registered to. So where our Beavers don't talk to themselves in real time, they only talk to IRF or upload pictures of IRF. So we need to also understand this process, and that is why we as an organization is doing a lot of voter education, opening up the use of this technology and how it is designed to citizens to help them understand how this works and how it is designed to work, so that we can remove a lot of these misconceptions or misinformation around the use of these technologies.
Thank you so much, Samuel Falorenshaw, for speaking with us. Samuel has talked to us on the legal issue concerning the ICT, most importantly, the use of technology out of 2027. As well, this is a conversation that has started, and we hope to continue to push forward to see if these reforms will likely happen before 2027. Thanks for talking to us, and we look forward to have you again next time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.